Gina Grad is outside of the studio. I thought it'd be appropriate to have her outside of the studio because I want to discuss the Alison Rosen situation. It was my wish that we could move forward with this in a way that did not involve any slinging of mud or ill will or anything of that nature. But
it seems like that's kind of happening. Is that the case?
I was naive. Well, I think the problem is it's as though I fired her for no reason. I didn't want to get into the gory details, and so there's a lot of speculation.
I understand.
And there's two things I understand. One is, all right, everyone wants to take the high road. The other thing I understand is people that are listening feel like they're part of something.
Yeah.
And
there's a relationship with the show, whether it's
right.
personal, or in your car, or in your ear, literally in your ear if you're wearing earbuds, headphones, or whatever.
Yes. And when you do something as drastic as I did, there needs to be more clarification and explanation.
For some people.
For many people. And I apologize for that. I should have understood that. It's a way of discounting your audience or something. I thought, let's just take the high road and move on. But I did it in a ham-fisted way, and people reacted very negatively to it, and I wanted to address it.
I think it was more the way you handled it than it was the decision itself. I think that probably people are split on the decision 60-40 one way or the other. It's irrespective because it's your decision, but the way you handled it was
unsatisfying to people.
Unsatisfying,
yes.
For sure.
So, definitely. And people demand the truth.
Well, I think people demand a little more, or whatever truth or whatever they want, more of an explanation.
They want more.
Yes.
So I'm here this evening to give you more. Okay? Now, first things first. Brian, have you been coached up in advance in any way?
We do no. The only coaching I have is the notes I've written up on Baldywood tonight. I've not been told.
Okay.
No.
All right. And for the people who say it's Brian's job to agree with Adam.
I don't know about that.
I find that comical.
Right.
Because you disagree with me more than you agree with me.
I don't know about that either.
And has there ever been repercussions for you disagreeing with something that I've said about you or about anything else?
Other than an uncomfortable moment and occasionally an Ace Award nomination.
Yes.
No, there's never been any repercussions off the air.
Ever conversations off the air about you need to get on into my program or on the right page with me or anything of that nature?
No, the only time this ever came up or anything like that ever came up, I proactively texted you after the Ace Award moment from last year when I was off the page on the airplane food thing. I thought you were going one way, you went another, and I was like, I kind of fucked that up. So I texted you, but you were like, hey, it's all good, and there was never any, hey, man, what the fuck?
Okay, so we've been working together for 15 years.
Feels like longer.
Have you ever seen me fire somebody or discipline somebody in a way that you thought was unfair or out of line or didn't fit with anything feel weird? Have you ever even seen me fire anybody?
No. In fact, the fact that you worked with Anderson for so long proves that you put up with you suffer fools.
Anderson was a prick to me for 10 years, for a decade.
I joke. He's a friend of mine. I joke with him about it. But yes, you and him did not see eye to eye, and yet you worked together for many, many years.
He was prickly to me for a decade.
Yes.
Okay. Did I ever attempt to get him fired?
I don't believe so. Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
Okay. So I think we've established that I'm a relatively fair person. But don't let me put words in your mouth.
You're a relatively fair person.
All right. I wrote a movie called The Hammer. The writing credit for that movie is Kevin Hench. It was my story, was mostly my words, was my life. But if you rent The Hammer, it says written by Kevin Hench.
Oh, I remember that, but okay.
Why?
You're a reasonably fair person?
Because he asked me for sole writing credit.
Okay, I didn't know. Oh, you did mention that a long time ago.
In my movie.
Okay.
And I gave it to him. So I think we've established that I'm not an unreasonable person.
Right.
Or a rash person. Now, relationships, everybody, they're not all about, telenovelas. They're a scale. We all live in these. We have personal relationships. We have professional relationships. There's little grains of sand.
Sometimes both. Sometimes there's crossover.
Yeah, little grains of sand on one side, little grains of sand on the other side of the scale, right? It's an accumulation of things. When you get divorced, Yeah, 2% of the time it's because she was sleeping with your brother. But 98% of the time it's an accumulation of things. I have things I don't like about my wife. She has things she doesn't like about me. You and Christy have the same thing. Everybody has the same thing with people they're in relationships with and people they have professional relationships with. But the question is, when does the scale tip? When does it tip? So for those who say, well, you know, her showing up late a couple of times. Showing up late? Are you insane? Everyone shows up late all the time, including me. It's not, I don't judge that. Talking about her deceased dog or something like that, that's nothing. That's a zero to me. That's content for the show. I can, however, tell you about a couple incidents that do not make her a bad person. It makes her a person that I don't want to co-host a show with. I'm a big fan of Howard Stern and Robin Quivers. I listen to them and I enjoy them. And that's something that I've always sort of looked at, wanted to replicate, and respected.
You do bring it up from time to time off the air when talking about the show, so it's obviously something you're a fan of, or at least want to aim towards.
Yes. Now, as far as those people think, well, hey, you know, Alison's a woman, or she's Jewish, or she's liberal.
Well, that's all true.
That's all true.
Those are all facts.
And so was Teresa Strasser.
Oh, shit.
She was very liberal.
True.
Very Jewish and very feminine.
Very woman.
And very womany. All right, I got along with her fine. There's no problem with her. It's not a problem, a political problem. I think we could both sit here and honestly say that Teresa Strasser and I politically didn't have much common ground.
True.
But it did not stop us from being friends.
No, I don't think so.
Or putting out a good product together.
I would say no.
Okay. All right. Now,
from an outsider perspective, the friends thing and not the product thing. The product speaks for itself.
Part of my decision was a few things. Number one, you may remember this, Brian, or maybe you cleansed it from your bald brain, but about a year ago, December, we were going into Chicago, and we're coming out of Detroit, or maybe I was doing a show in Detroit. I can't remember.
I think you met us.
Yeah, we met you in Chicago.
I met you. All right. I had to do a one-nighter in Detroit. I was going to fly that morning to Detroit. I was going to do, the Liquor Barn in Chicago, and then we're going to go do 2 shows at Park West. Yeah.
Upper West, Park West, something like that.
Park West, right. Big venue, big rock and roll, raucous, drunken, more for rock bands than podcast venue. Okay? I said, guys, I'm doing a show in Detroit the night before. I'm doing the Liquor Barn that day. We're doing 2 shows. And when we come to the late show, I'm going to be running on fumes. And to make things worse, everyone's going to be drunk, and we don't have a guest for the late show. So I said to you, and especially Allison, if you got something, write it down. I'm going to need some help.
Okay.
Late show, Chicago, Friday night, Saturday night, whatever it was.
I had forgotten about that, but now I do sort of remember.
Right. And I said it maybe on a Tuesday or Wednesday before we went out of town.
It wasn't like in the green room or anything.
It was a few days beforehand. I said, no guest, late show, running on fumes. If you got something, get something, write it down, because I'm going to need some help. And then about 3 minutes before the show, about 10:30 at night, when I was running on fumes and the place was sold out and we had no guest, I said to the 2 of you, do you have anything for tonight?
Shit, what was my answer? I have no recollection.
You said I could come up with something.
Okay.
And Allison said, not really.
Oh.
And I thought, well, thanks for the help. And I don't remember thinking, I hate you two. I just remember thinking, I told everybody a couple days in advance we're going to be at this place and I needed some help out on stage. If you could make a note, something, write something down. And a little more in Allison's lap than yours. You're the sound effects guy. Look at her as a comedic voice on the show. So the answer was I got nothing. I don't have a buck slip. I don't have a piece of paper. I don't have a cocktail napkin. I don't have anything. And I thought, well, that's unfortunate because I knew this was coming and now I'm going to dance. And that's fine.
I can't speak for Allison, but I feel like I dropped the ball on that, so I apologize.
You did.
I know. I
And so did
have
she.
almost no recollection, and it sucks because I feel like that was not a good showing.
It's okay. I did what I had to do, but understand when we do the live shows, I've asked many times, for instance, what to expect when you're not expecting. Allison's made-up book. I think I made that book up for her.
Made up memoirs. Yeah.
Yes. She did it several times. She would read it on stage, right?
Funny every time.
All I did was laugh. And then if you can remember us in the green room, all I said to her was, that's really funny. When we do live shows, you should do one. Every time we do a live show, have one with you. It's very funny. She hasn't done one in 2 years or prepared one in 2 years. I have told her.
Did a few in the studio, but then I remember a handful of them.
But you do remember me saying, laughing, saying that's very good, very strong, and continue. Have I ever said, don't talk so much on stage, or I'm the main man, or back off, or make room for me, or whatever it is?
No, it's usually the opposite. It's like, if you got anything.
If you got anything,
If you got
talk.
something in your mind, you got a topic or whatever.
Okay, so I told her that bit was a very strong bit, and I thought it was very funny. I thought her writing was incredible. And I said, please do it. When we do live shows, have one. All right, now we can agree that it's been several years since we've heard that bit?
It's been a while.
All right, well, it's been several. Now, people can say, well, why didn't you ever sit her down and talk to her? Well, I did talk to her. I told her on several occasions, it's funny. Let's do that bit. Later on, she did, is it just me or is everybody else? She did her bit. And I know I screwed
Pretty
up.
close.
But
Yeah,
she,
you're close
enough.
enough.
Just
me or everyone.
Just me or everyone else. She did that bit.
Love that bit.
Okay, what did I say? That's a funny bit. We should do it on a regular basis. We should do it like we do Bollywood. Let's just do it on.
Instead of Bollywood.
Let's do it on a. I didn't say that in front of you,
Yeah,
but yes,
that was the implication.
I
It's
said
clear.
let's do it on a regular basis. Let's make it a reoccurring bit. Okay, we've done one in the last year. So if a theme is occurring or starting to emerge, it's not exactly doing what I'm asking to be done, which is her prerogative, but it doesn't make me, as sort of the band leader, think that maybe she's that excited about being here, being on stage, being behind the microphone.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can only speculate as to why she wouldn't want to bring these bits in or why she wouldn't want to do these bits. The only feedback, and you guys, everyone over there has a microphone. If there's ever been any negative feedback on my part about any bit that I've encouraged her to do, please speak up. If you've ever heard a word saying back off, a word saying maybe we should give that bit a little bit of a rest, a word of, well, it went on a little bit too long, maybe we should a word other than that was funny, please do more.
I will vouch for everything you've just said.
Thank you, Dawson. That's why you get the big bucks.
Get that drop.
Okay, so the things weren't exactly rolling when I was doing it. Brian, you and I have noted that when it came time to do the role-playing, which you know I love doing, and I did with Damashek a million years ago, the role-playing, how did that news story...
It just, comes up organically or whatever.
Well, you notice that you and I would do the bits that had a male and a female.
You brought that to my attention a couple days, like maybe a day or two into the new year, and I was like, oh, yeah. Like, I never really noticed it because it was just a story that we just started, back and forth ping-ponging about, and you're
Yes.
like, oh, yeah, you do the girl parts, and I'm like,
I
guess
would
I do.
have preferred to do the boy-boy stuff
Sure,
with Brian and the girl-boy stuff with Allison, but Allison wasn't rolling that way. I wasn't able to get her attention that way, and I wasn't able to, or it wasn't in her forte. I don't know what it was, but I was not able to do the role-playing with her. So I ended up doing the part where Brian was playing the wife or the mistress, or I was playing the wife and the mistress, and it always felt stilted and weird to me to have Allison sitting next to me while I was doing this with Brian, but I wasn't able to work it out with her.
Which is too bad because she was obviously good at it.
Hi, this is Becky Honkington.
There was a reason why